look at Floyd. Like, Floyd spends money like it's a tap. Like, he's got a tap, just like unlimited amount of money. Money's just flowing. And even as much money as he's made in his career, which he's probably made as much, if not more money than any boxer ever. Like, there's all these lawsuits. Like, he hasn't been paying things, and he owes money on this and owes money on that. And it's like, and then he's got to come out of retirement.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough. I think it's just the lifestyle that Floyd lived.
Yes.
I think he can't fathom to just live a modest lifestyle. It's like he got to be lavish.
Right. He's got to have those videos where he shows you all the watches, where he opens the case up. You know,
all the money. You got to show that he got $1 million in his backpack. And, you know, he got the latest watch and the latest car, and look what I just bought.
And when you get into latest watches and latest cars, you get into that, like, boy, that money goes quick.
Yeah.
Bugattis are like $3 million. There's watches that are $3-5 million. That's crazy. So you buy a watch and a car, you're down 10.
When the topic of Floyd Mayweather's real estate claims came up, Joe Rogan didn't hide his doubts. Instead of quietly questioning it, he directly challenged the numbers, leaning into the discussion and pointing out that something about those figures just didn't feel right.
This is why people watch him fight, is not because he's like Mike Tyson, just goes out and destroys people. They like watching him fight because they hate him. Because he talks so much shit, and he's like, look at my $1 million watch, look at my fucking jet, look at my house, look at this. He's like constantly showing you all these things that he has. Like, he'll lay out watches in a hotel bed, like, this is $1 million worth of watches. This watch goes for $2 million. And they're like, this is my small watch that I take sometimes, but when I'll show you, when I'll show up, I bring out the big boy, and it brings out this watch that's covered in diamonds. It's like $5 million. And so you hate him.
And that Floyd owes like $1.4 million in jewelry debts, that Floyd owes like hundreds of thousands of dollars in rent for a private New York apartment. His private jet fuel, he's not paid hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of fuel and maintenance. He put up one of his jets that I think he even sold, but one of his jets, and I want to say one of his properties, like one of his homes, up as collateral for a $54 million loan from an individual, from a billionaire that had a 9%.
Rogan also pushed back on the bigger story around Floyd, especially the claims that he owns dozens of high-value properties worth tens of music millions. He explained that making bold and flashy statements about wealth is one thing, but having clear and verified ownership of those assets is a completely different reality.
IRS, how much does he owe?
It's in the $20+ million range.
It's a lot of money, man.
But it's not something that he's been, it's not like deception.
No,
it's just neglect to
it's
pay.
Neglect, and it's also like, I think, and there is like a truth to this. He makes so much money. There's probably a point when they're like, "Hey, it's time to pay your taxes," and you go like, "All right, here's a check for $25 million. That's an incredible amount of money." And then they go, "That's true, but you owe 50 more," and he's just like, "That can't be right. I've given you $25 million.
Yeah, he's bought over 100 luxury cars from the same dealer and always pays in cash.
He has $15 million worth of car.
That's where things start to get interesting. Floyd built the entire Money Mayweather image around the idea of endless wealth, piles of cash, luxury watches, and a lifestyle that showed financial dominance. His brand has always presented him as someone with nearly unlimited wealth, but behind the scenes, quiet talk in business circles suggests the truth may be much more complicated than the flashy image people see.
Mayweather is made, and because he's the best in the history of pay-per-view at making sure that the money ends up in his pocket. He is or has been a businessman as an athlete that almost doesn't have a peer because he owns all his own stuff as an independent. Your spending has to be so fiscally irresponsible to lose the amount of money that Floyd Mayweather has lost that it is almost beyond anything that is reason. It's not merely fiscal insanity. It's something that doesn't make any sense to me.
Right. And another sign of him maybe in financial trouble is, as of February 2026, Floyd Mayweather has initiated a massive $340 million lawsuit against Showtime Networks and former executive Steven Espinoza. So he's trying to get some bread right now.
The estimate is that he made over $1.2 billion.
Reports from Business Insider suggest that two of Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s commercial real estate properties have already faced foreclosure issues. Music. There were also claims that a building linked to his Las Vegas strip club might be at risk due to unpaid property taxes. Music. On top of that, legal disputes have appeared involving alleged unpaid balances for luxury watches and high-end jewelry, claims Floyd himself has strongly denied. When you put all of this together, the conversation quickly shifts from flashy displays of wealth to serious questions about his financial situation.
Things that they said in this article were insane. That Floyd owes like $1.4 million in jewelry debts, that Floyd owes like hundreds of thousands of dollars in rent for a private New York apartment. His private jet fuel, he's not paid hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of fuel and maintenance. He put up one of his jets that I think he even sold, but one of his jets and I want to say one of his properties, like one of his homes, up as collateral for a 50.
The outlet also reported that two Trump Las Vegas condos were briefly taken over due to unpaid taxes before being returned after the payments were completed. On top of that, a reported $54 million loan supposedly used Floyd's homes, private jet, and businesses as collateral. Whether these claims are exaggerated or just misunderstandings, the gap between Floyd's flashy money image and the financial headlines has sparked a lot of debate. Joe Rogan's earlier doubts about Floyd's empire had already made people question the story. Then Cha Sonnen steps in, grabbing attention with no subtlety, looking at the "Is Floyd broke?" headlines and basically asking why anyone is surprised by this.
And why are we attempting to tease Floyd? Is Floyd? Yes, he's broke. Of course he's broke. He's a boxer. Did they say can't read? That's not to tease him. They say that he can't read. His best friend at the time said that he can't read, and he never denied it. I don't tease him for it. He was a guy who grew up in a boxing channel, right? It's one of these things. You know what you know. You know what you were taught. I didn't teach him about contracts. I didn't teach him about saving. I didn't teach him about investments. Who would have taught him these things?
He quickly turns the question back on the audience, asking, if you get up and music work every week because you need money, why should it be any different for a boxer? I'm sitting there thinking, classic Chael logic, part harsh honesty, part playful trolling, but he doesn't stop there. Chael goes on to break down the myth of boxing paydays, explaining that billion-dollar earnings and massive pay-per-view numbers often come from press releases, not confirmed financial records. When he points out that no one from the companies handling the pay-per-views has actually verified those shocking numbers. It's like throwing a grenade into years of boxing hype and exaggerated stories.
You got baby mamas all over the way. What do you mean is he broke? Of course he's broke. What boxer do you know that isn't broke? What a ridiculous question. But it's the fact that they're attempting to tease him. I mean, first off, they're asking the question. Look, I've told you until I'm blue in the face. The numbers that you hear in boxing simply aren't true. Floyd made $1 billion. No, he didn't. Floyd and Conor made $500 million. No, they didn't. Of course they didn't. Nobody's ever confirmed that. And it's the same thing with the check. I got $100 million for a fight. Oh, you did? Who signed the check? Whoever signed the check is going to want credit for it. There's never been a time that $1 million check was written and the dude that wrote the check didn't make sure that somebody found out he wrote the check. So who wrote the check? Floyd's got a whole bunch of them, apparently. He got $1 billion.
At the same time, Chael isn't only criticizing Floyd, he's challenging the entire way sports finances are promoted and exaggerated. He then shifts to contract issues, pointing out how Floyd announcing multiple fights alongside the rumored Tyson bout would send any promoter into chaos. In boxing, timing and exclusivity aren't just important, they're everything, and that's where the irony hits hardest. Floyd himself has accused Showtime of questionable business practices. Yet here he is creating confusion in the same space.
Like, the numbers aren't what you think they are, right? The numbers are good and they made a lot of money, but it's not what you think it is. And yeah, of course Floyd broke. Would you be boxing if you weren't? And it's very tough to be.
Meanwhile, as critics blame Floyd's own promotion for creating similar confusion with Logan Paul, the story turns into a cycle of blame. Everyone pointing fingers at someone else. But here's the funny contradiction Chael unintentionally reveals. People can question Floyd's finances, doubt the huge paydays, argue about contracts, or dismiss exhibition fights. Yet the moment Mayweather's name appears on a fight poster, the entire combat sports world stops, watches, and gives him attention that no controversy can take away.
Doesn't. Just to clear that up, no he doesn't. Will Logan ever get the money? I think Floyd's broke. Floyd does not owe Logan $1.3 million. Floyd's promotion owes Logan $1.3 million. And now, of course, he's not going to get it. That promotion's already shut down.
Chael Sonnen had already added fuel to the whole Floyd might be broke debate. But then Jason Whitlock and his panel stepped in, and suddenly we're deep into full financial analysis. I'm sitting there thinking, we've officially gone from fight breakdowns to financial investigations with boxing gloves. Whitlock starts by diving into Shannon Sharpe and the panel's theory. Music Floyd coming out of retirement is all about chasing a huge payday, and as soon as names like Canelo Alvarez, Manny Pacquiao, and Terrence Crawford come up, the business side becomes obvious. Shannon points out those are the only fights that could bring in the kind of money Floyd would want. It's basically the top-level super fight list. Then Whitlock brings up the Rocky reference, asking why do you fight? And suddenly the conversation shifts from money to deeper meaning in a really engaging way.
Suggested on their podcast that Floyd Mayweather is talking about coming back, unretiring.
He is.
Because he's broke.
Yeah.
Let's play the clip here of Shannon Sharpe and Ocho Cinco.
There are only 3 fights that Floyd can have that can command and get the kind of money he's looking to recoup for money that may have been lost, or money that may have been stolen, or money he may have spent, to date. For one, a rematch with Canelo. That's one fight.
Canelo too big.
Listen to me, Unc. We talk about making that money.
But Floyd built music his entire identity around the idea that money equals success, literally changing from pretty boy to money. Whitlock points out the harsh irony. When your brand is completely tied to wealth, even a small hint of financial trouble turns into a major headline storm. Then Dre adds a more realistic view, music saying, the real question isn't what Floyd earned, it's what we don't know about his liquidity, assets, debts, taxes, and lifestyle. In other words, the hidden financial side behind all those flashy Instagram posts. Meanwhile, the panel makes jokes about gamblers losing everything, IRS bills, and excessive spending. It's the usual chaos, but here's what stands out to me. While half the panel questions why a fighter near 50 would return to the ring, the other half quietly admits something every fan knows. If Floyd Mayweather announces a fight with someone, like Terrence Crawford, Canelo Alvarez, or even Manny Pacquiao again, none of the debates will stop people from watching when the fight actually happens. It's under lights.
$1 million, and he's 47 years old, and he's completely broke. He's won the prize. This is, of all the idiots that we've seen out there, celebrities, actors, entertainers that have lost a lot of money, this guy would take the cake. To blow a bill before he even hits 50 is unimaginable. It actually is sad. It's a cautionary tale. We have seen it time and time again. But who actually wants to watch this guy fight? Like, people that love him. If he comes out and if he loses and looks terrible and gets destroyed, well, look, if you love him or hate him, you can say, well, he's nearly 50.
Whitlock and his panel had already turned the Floyd comeback story into a full financial courtroom debate. Then Andre Ward steps in, and the conversation immediately shifts from hot takes to real fighter insight. That difference really stands out. Ward starts by highlighting the respect he has always had for Floyd's work ethic. And I agree, because that part often gets lost behind the flashy headlines. Music. He explains that the luxury lifestyle, the cars, the jets, and the image were all part of the Mayweather brand. But underneath it all, there was always a dedicated gym worker who never missed a day of training. When Ward admits he feels unsure about this comeback, it feels real. He's not attacking like others. He's speaking from a deeper place. Boxing becomes part of who you are. Music, the adrenaline, the spotlight, and the huge fight night paychecks create a feeling that normal life simply can't replace.
Goes about his business. He's been filthy rich. He's made his name, his legacy, and a lot of his reputation wasn't just the boxing. It was the money. It's the money man. What I have, what I'm driving, what I'm living in, what I'm flying in. And a lot of people, they don't like that. I don't know if Floyd Mayweather had more supporters for most of his fights or more haters. But regardless of where you fall on that line, Floyd Mayweather made it work for him when many people, promoters included, networks included, early on.
That's the kind of insight only a former champion can give. Music. Then Ward brings up the idea of a Pacquiao rematch, and suddenly my analyst side gets interested again. He makes a strong point. Older fighters can sometimes create more action because they can't rely on constant movement like before. Less footwork often leads to more exchanges, changing the idea that this kind of fight would be boring. Still, Ward keeps coming back to the real risk, age, music itself. Your mind believes you're still the same fighter, while your body quietly disagrees. That one idea explains many of boxing's toughest moments. Even so, while Ward says he'd rather see both legends relaxing somewhere retired, he can't ignore the curiosity. Because when two icons with unfinished business step back into the ring, the entire fight world stops and watches, whether we like it or not. E.T.
on it over and over and over, and he has to process, can he do anything with me? How does my skill set line up with his? Can I beat him? The problem with being 49 years of age is sometimes your brain can see things and tell you things that your body's not in agreement with. That's the problem with age. Your brain is still saying, I'm him. Your brain is still saying, man, I'm Money Mayweather. Man, these youngsters can't deal with me. But your body is saying, brother, we don't.
What he tweets. We step back and take it all in. And it honestly feels like four completely different worlds coming together at once. Joe Rogan is exploring the story of Floyd's financial empire. Sonnen is breaking down the myths around boxing paydays. Whitlock and his panel are analyzing the business, contracts, and lifestyle side of everything. Then Andre Ward adds the fighter's perspective, reminding everyone that this sport becomes part of your DNA in a way money alone cannot replace. One side argues Floyd's return is all about chasing another huge payday. Another believes the financial rumors are exaggerated. Ward quietly reminds us that fighters sometimes return because the spotlight, the competition, and the adrenaline are things normal life can't match. That's the real conflict. Legacy versus longevity, business versus passion. Whether Floyd is chasing money, history, or simply the feeling of being Money Mayweather again, the bigger truth lies in the conversation itself. Look around, everyone is debating, analyzing, and breaking down every part of this comeback. And that's the powerful pull legends always have.
And that's the danger of coming back at this age. So part of me wants to see these guys continue to make money. Part of me wants to see these guys, how do they do it at this age? Man, I mean, show me something. Show me how your mind can overtake the deficiencies you may have in your body at your age. But the deeper part of me, man, I want to see Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao on a beach somewhere, living off the fruits of their labor, helping the game however they see fit to help the game, and just watching the next generations do what they do. But hey, we got to fight.
Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Floyd Mayweather is stepping back into the ring for the money, for his love of boxing, or to settle unfinished business with Manny Pacquiao? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's have a real discussion. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Rage in the Ring.